There's a topic floating around, man. I don't really like to get into politics on my channel, but there's been growing noise and resignation about SEC schools gerrymandering African Americans' right to vote, and putting their pretty much manipulating the political system. But Dia Hughley brought it up first, and shout out to Drea Mack. She, one of my followers, she brought this to my attention last week. Couldn't get to it, a little under the weather. But a little bit more substance has been added since then. But D.L. Hughley started it off. He's on a tweet. He said, "What if black college athletes refuse to sign to schools in states that are gerrymandered districts to exclude black representation?" And this is a great point, man, because a lot of the 5 star athletes go to these big schools in the South. I live in Georgia, so Georgia football is one of the biggest institutions when it comes to football recruits right now. The other states or neighboring states, Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, even South Carolina. So the SEC has expanded mightily over the last 3 4 years, adding teams from the Big Ten, Big 12, and places like that, such as the Texas and schools like that, Missouri. But I get it because why in 2026 are we still talking about voting rights? That should be an equal right to Americans. But there are other people out there that have my sentiments about boycotting and things of this nature. Um, Take a quick listen to this.
I don't think black athletes should play for my alma mater anymore. I don't think they should be on the football field. I don't think they should be on the basketball court. I don't think they should be playing for any sport at LSU. If Louisiana is going to gerrymander black people out of representation in Louisiana, then you guys should hit them where it hurts. And that is by far LSU sports. If anything is going to make the white people in Louisiana care more about black representation and civil rights, it's taken something away from their LSU sports teams. If the top 5 recruits, black recruits coming out of high school, going into college, said, you know what, I'm not signing with LSU or Tennessee or any of these other states that are going to gerrymander us out of representation, then maybe they'll wake up.
This whole thing boils down to this charade they're performing. This is only about quote unquote partisanship and not about race, even though, as we all know, Republicans are 90% white. So Republican is basically a euphemism for race. So when you see them say that, how do you call that out?
Yeah, I think we just have to look at the pattern here. I walked into the Capitol yesterday, it was 2026, and when I walked out the building, it was pre-1965. We are going backwards to the Confederacy with these wannabe plantation owners like Cameron Sexton. They've taken off the white sheets, taken off the white hoods, and they got suits on, but their intention is very clear. These are the same folks who made it so that 1 in 5 black people cannot vote in Tennessee because of felony disenfranchisement. These are the same people who kicked out the 2 youngest black lawmakers. These are the same people who defended a man who wanted to say we want to bring back hanging by a tree. These are the same people who supported protecting a monument of the KKK that used to sit in the Capitol that we had to fight to get removed. We have to be very clear that we are in a war, that they are waging war against black Tennesseans and black folks in the South. Tennessee is not what they call a swing state, but we must be a state that swings back when they hit us and kick us. We cannot be polite. We cannot be in decorum. We cannot be trying to make friends with these racist and white supremacists, but we need to be unapologetic and bold in our resistance and rebellion against this system, because if we're not careful, we may go back to a time like we saw at the end of Reconstruction where we lost all black representation in our legislature and in our federal level. There's a time between the end of the 1800s and the beginning of the 1960s that we had no black lawmakers because they all had been run out by the terrorism of Jim Crow, the KKK, put into place after Reconstruction.
And now, with the NCAA and NAACP probably stepping in, to give their thoughts on it, and they made great points as well. But again, when you have the NAACP stepping in, that means the problem's getting bad, and it's getting to a point where things need to change. And this is what they had to say.
In this moment when black representation is under attack, it is important for the CPC to keep in their tradition of being the moral of the Congress, but the moral of conscience of this country. No representation, no revenue, no one black should be on a playing field of institutions that's living off of our labor, and yet in states that are seeking to reinstitute a sharecropping reality, who are coming out of high school not to attend any state-funded schools of states that have moved to minimize our right to vote, to minimize our ability to elect candidates of our choice, and states that are seeking to create a sharecropping reality. Whether that state be Missouri or Mississippi, whether that state is South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Louisiana, Texas, or Florida. 55% of all African Americans live in the former Confederate South. But the 55% of us who live in the former Confederate South, we will not tolerate a Confederate mentality on our labor, on our ability to contribute, and our ability to have representation. In this moment, our democracy is in crisis. This is not about partisanship. This is about true representation. And for the NAACP, we will fight with all we have in solidarity with the Congressional Black Caucus to ensure that we have representation.
So now that you know the layout of the entire movement about boycotts and boycotting these schools, and think about it, man, voter rights are never going to change. We've got to first just go out and vote. That's how you change everything. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, because you know, these election there are always genuine. You know, sometimes, you know, people get the upper hand. We've seen it in Georgia a couple of years ago. But to boycott these schools would be a smart thing. But another thing that these young African American athletes can do, start back to supporting HBCU schools. Take the money to these smaller HBCU schools. Get your education there, because in the 70s, a lot of Hall of Fame athletes from the NFL came out of HBCU schools. Tennessee State it was one of the main schools. Southern, Grambling, you know, any HBCU you can name, there was Jackson State. There was always, you know, Hall of Fame athletes being drafted out of those schools. So what African American athletes should do, start to support their own. That's the best way to get back. That's the best way to change things. But I know money can complicate things, and when you start seeing the way out for your family, that can complicate decisions. But at the end of the day, start to support your own. Go to these HBCUs, get your education, and just do what you need to do, you know, to put money back into your own community. But I, to a certain extent, agree with, you know, boycotting and, you know, speaking against these type things, because voter rights should never be violated and it should never be manipulated. So when you manipulate things and make them fall in a certain order, our community just ends up losing altogether, because some things are going to always be in place in the South no matter what. Don't have to say what, y'all already know. But just got to do better with voting, man. Get out and vote and try to keep some of these people out of office that we know, you know, support things that just aren't right in today's world. So, Ms. Drea Mack, that's my quick thoughts on it. And I just think we just have to do better with our voting, and, you know, whatever we have to do to go to Congress and, you know, force the issue to get them to change, you know, voter rights in certain states. But hey, that's my quick thoughts. Y'all drop those comments. Let's debate. Let's have fun as always, man. Y'all know how we do it on Sports Machine. This your boy Antoine Smith signing off. I will hot y'all soon, man. Peace.